Have you ever looked at a 3-mark question and just wondered, what is the exact formula for getting every single point? Well, let's do this. Today, we are going to deconstruct a real exam question line by line using the official mark scheme. We're going to see precisely where each mark comes from and, more importantly, how you can guarantee you get it. So here's our challenge, a classic scatter graph question. Now, it looks pretty straightforward, right? But those 3 little marks are so easy to miss if you aren't giving the examiner the exact evidence they're looking for. So let's break down what a perfect answer actually looks like. And really, this is the whole secret. Getting the right answer is only half the battle. The real game is showing your knowledge in the exact way the mark scheme demands. This isn't about guesswork. It's about delivering precisely what's on their checklist. Okay, let's start with part A. This is just a single mark question, but it's the perfect example of how choosing your words carefully is the key to banking that first point. So the question is, describe the relationship between the age and the weight of the babies. You see, it's worth 1 mark, and the mark scheme calls this a C1, or a communication mark. That's a huge clue. It's telling us that the words we choose are literally what's being graded here. And if we peek behind the curtain at the mark scheme, it says the point is given for a valid description of the relationship. Now, valid might sound a bit vague, but this is where it gets good, because the mark scheme then gives us super specific examples of what counts as valid and what doesn't. So this is the million-dollar question, right? What are they actually looking for? The great news is we don't have to guess. The mark scheme lays it all out for us. Let's see what it says. Okay, now this is fascinating. Look over at the not acceptable column. Just writing the word positive isn't good enough. Why? Because it's not specific. To get that mark, you need the clarity you see on the left, something like positive correlation or as age increases, weight increases. You have to name both variables and describe what they're doing together. So here's the golden rule for any describe the relationship question. The formula is simple. Name both variables from the axes, in this case age and weight, and clearly state the direction of that relationship. That is the exact recipe for that communication mark. Awesome, 1 mark in the bag. Now let's move on to part B. This is where the other 2 marks are hiding, and this part is all about showing your method. The question says, another baby has a weight of 5.8 kilograms. Using the scatter graph, find an estimate for the age of this baby. Notice this is worth 2 marks. 1 is for your final answer, yeah? But the first one, that's purely for showing your work. So our job is crystal clear. We need to go to 5.8 on the weight axis, go across to the trend line, and then drop down to the age axis. But the real question is, how do you prove to the examiner that you've actually done that? You see this instruction on every single exam paper. You must show all your working. But for a graph question, your working isn't some calculation you write out. Your working is the lines you physically draw on the diagram itself. This is how you collect that first, crucial method mark. And here it is. This is the physical evidence of your method. A nice straight line drawn from 5.8 on the weight axis over to the line of best fit, and another one straight down to the age axis. That action right there, just drawing those 2 lines, is worth 1 full mark. And the mark scheme couldn't be any clearer. It gives you an M1, a method mark, for exactly this. A line drawn from 5.8 on the y-axis to the trend line and down to the x-axis. Seriously, if you draw those lines, you get the mark, even if you mess up reading the final value. It's an easy win. All right, now for that second mark. This is the A1, or the accuracy mark. After you've drawn your lines, you just read the value from the x-axis. And the mark scheme is pretty generous. It allows a small range to account for tiny differences in drawing. For this question, any answer between 3.6 and 4 inclusive gets you the point. So let's just recap how to get the 2 marks for part B. You get 1 method mark, the M1, for physically drawing the lines on your graph. And you get the second accuracy mark, the A1, for writing down an answer that falls within the examiner's range. You do both of those, and you've just secured all the marks. It's that simple. Okay, so we've completely dissected this question. Now let's zoom out a bit and turn this example into a powerful strategy, a mindset you can use for any exam question. You've got to start thinking of the mark scheme as your blueprint. It's not some top-secret document for teachers. It's literally a checklist of everything you need to do to get a perfect score. Your job is just to make sure every single component is there in your answer. And here's how you build that mindset. It's a really simple 3-step loop. First, you practice a question from a past paper. Then,
And this is the important part. You mark your own work using the official mark scheme. Finally, you analyze the gaps. Ask yourself, did I miss a keyword? Did I forget to show my working? That's how you learn to think like an examiner.
Because here's the real takeaway. Getting the right answer is great, but understanding why a mark is awarded is a total game changer. Every single point is tied to a specific action you take. A specific phrase gets you the C1 mark, a drawn line gets you the M1 mark. If you miss the action, you miss the mark. It's a direct transaction. So now it's your turn. Grab a past paper, pick a question, any question, and find its mark scheme. What's the first one you're going to put under the microscope?